The grab bag convention, one that at times seemed to be contradicting itself. On the one hand, Donald Trump was presented as an unprecedented great American president who had created the most powerful economy in the world and restored American greatness. On the other hand, the country was presented as being on the brink of imminent collapse should Joe Biden be elected. Not only were the riots in Kenosha and other parts of the country alluded to throughout the proceedings, there's a sense that if Biden or the Democrats took power in the Senate, that all that Trump had accomplished over the last 4 years would instantly fall away.
We heard the president attacking Joe Biden, but in fairness, would you say that Joe Biden was also attacking Donald Trump in the Democratic National Convention?
I think that their attacks are slightly different. I mean, Biden is presenting the idea that Donald Trump is a uniquely destructive political force, whereas Trump and the Republican convention in general presented Biden more as a passive figure, as they alluded to him again and again as a Trojan horse, that he was really being controlled by the likes of Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Nancy Pelosi. The idea is this is essentially the convention that the Republicans would have run if Bernie Sanders were the nominee.
A significant day in Washington, a march echoing 57 years to the day Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech. I actually heard Cordelia Lynch, a UK Sky reporter, this morning talking to a protester who said maybe it's time to bring the conversation of politics to the dinner table that we're usually not told to. Are protesters making headways, do you think?
I think what you saw this week was in some ways akin to what you saw back in March. It was professional sports in America that led coronavirus awareness, with the federal government at that point not doing their job. And once again, what we've seen in this country is that professional athletes, this time in the National Basketball Association, have taken the lead, forcing a conversation about racial justice in this country at a time when little progress is being made politically.
We also heard Kellyanne Conway this week announce she's going to leave the White House. That was on the eve of the Republican National Convention. Interesting timing. However, she did say it was for her beloved children and, quote, completely her choice and her voice. It will be less drama, more mama.
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a bit of chaos at the White House, as has been the norm for the last 4 years. A departure like this coming as it does right before an election is certainly significant. But the Conway family drama, she's married to longstanding conservative figure who's one of the president's most outspoken opponents, has been DC gossip fodder for years. But over the last 2 weeks, their teenage daughter has become involved, and it's gotten somehow even messier. This, for the president, I think presents him yet again as even more isolated. Over the last 4 days, the Republican Party tried to show a portrait of party unity. Yet what we've seen again and again over the last 4 years are that people close to the president, particularly in 2016, keep backing away.
2 attendees and 2 event support staff, Alex, tested positive at the Republican National Convention. However, Republicans say that precautions were taken. Have we heard any more on this?
I think it'll be a little while until we hear more about the actual consequences of the speech that the president gave. The precautions themselves, I still haven't seen exactly what they were. They've been alluded to, but certainly wasn't testing beforehand. What was being presented yesterday was the idea, and throughout the convention, was this idea that the country had somehow conquered coronavirus, that it was a thing of the past, not just that there would be a vaccine by the end of the year or in the president's preference before Election Day, but that the worst was already behind us. That strikes me as the kind of sentiment that could be very dangerous, not just because there are still hundreds, sometimes over 1,000 new cases a day, but also because with the start of school happening after Labor Day, we could see another large spread event in this country.
And since Donald Trump's address, he said he's prepared to sign a $1.3 trillion coronavirus relief bill. This would mark a $300 billion increase.
Yeah, there's still some details being worked out. One of the bigger questions is what, if anything, the House will be able to agree on. For the last several weeks, Mark Meadows and Nancy Pelosi have been trying to put something together, but there's a significant distance between the two parties. And at the same time, Republicans got almost all of what they wanted in March's CARES Act. They're not particularly concerned, surprisingly, to give relief to everyday Americans right now. So there's not a lot of political pressure on them. So I think it still remains to be seen, one, what this bill or what this will actually look like, and two, how it will get done.
And finally, Alex, US unemployment claims they've now, climbed past the 1 million mark. This is for the second week in a row.
We're facing, especially without federal action, we're facing just a long-term economic problem that's not being addressed yet. I think that going forward, one thing that Trump in particular is going to have to do is to combine this his narrative that coronavirus is over with the sense that people are still suffering. At last night's convention, we did not see that.